Hi boys and girls, so today for writing we are going to be editing our writing. Now what does editing mean? I hope at this point in the year that you can tell me that editing is fixing our writing and fixing some mistakes that we have in our writing. That's what we're going to be working on today. So I know my face looks a little bit funny because I'm standing in front of the projector, but I have my story written right here and I want to go through and fix some mistakes that are in my story. Now remember, we have learned how to put capital letters at the beginning of sentences. We have learned how to have a subject and a verb inside of our sentences. We've learned to put punctuation at the end, and we've learned to capitalize proper nouns. So I'm going to read through this story and I'm going to fix all of the mistakes that I made. And I know that I've made a couple mistakes, all right? I'm also going to be looking for spelling to fix any spelling mistakes that I might have. Okay, and the way that I'm editing my writing, in your independent practice, you'll be editing your writing just like me. Okay, so the first thing that I need is a colored writing utensil to use for editing. So I'm going to be using a red marker. You can use a colored pencil or a crayon or a pen, whatever you have at home that's a different color from what you wrote your story in, okay? If you notice, I've also skipped lines. That's very important too, because it's going to help me with my editing, right? Now, as I'm reading my story, I want you to help point out some things that I got wrong. Of course, I can't hear you, but I hope that you're thinking about it or saying some of the things that I got wrong, so that way it will help remind you what the things that you need to fix or check for in your writing. All right, so let's start at the beginning. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to point to every word to make sure that I am correcting it and correcting all of my mistakes. I can remember a time when I hope that you can see that. Let me scoot you a little bit closer. That W is very close to the I. So I'm just going to cross out this I and I'm going to write it right beside the word when, because I want to make sure that I'm putting spaces in between my words. I also know that the word I is always capitalized, so I'm going to make sure that I capitalize that word I. Okay? I can remember a time when I was scared that we have to capitalize this I too. And notice I'm not erasing, I'm just writing over it and fixing that mistake, because I want to see those mistakes you're making and I want to see how you went back and corrected them. I can remember a time when I was scared that I want to tell you about. I can remember a time that I was scared that I want to tell you about. Okay? What comes at the end of our sentence that I don't have? A period. So I need to make sure that I put a period there. When I have a period, I also want to check and circle my capital letter to make sure I'm starting my sentence with a capital letter. So I have a capital letter at the beginning, a period at the end. Let's make sure that I have a subject and a verb. Who is this sentence about? Sentence is about I. What did I do? I can. So I'm going to make sure that I have a verb too. And I think that that sentence, I have corrected all of my mistakes. Now let's keep reading and we're going to be looking for all of those things. Capital letters at the beginning, subject and verbs, the word I is capitalized, we have punctuation at the end. First, it was dark outside, okay? I have a capital letter at the beginning, I got my subject and my verb, and I have my period at the end. I think that that sentence is good. It has everything it needs. And then I see this word, HTE. That doesn't look right. I think this word is supposed to be the, so I'm going to cross it out and I'm going to replace it with the word the. Now, if you're not sure how to spell the word the, this is where you can use an online dictionary or you can ask an adult for help, but make sure you're getting those sight words, those words that you've been learning since kindergarten and pre-K, make sure that you're spelling those words correctly. So the dogs, why do I have a capital G there? I don't know, so I'm going to fix it to make sure that all of my letters are lowercase unless it's the name or the beginning of the sentence. The dogs were barking at me because they needed to go potty. Because Does the word because have a Z? No way, Jose. So I need to spell the word because correctly. And this might be a word that you don't know how to spell on your own, but you can ask a parent or an adult that's at your home to help you spell it, or you can look it up online on an online dictionary and figure out how to spell it also. But make sure you're spelling those sight words like because correctly. Let's look again. First, it was dark outside. The dogs were barking at me because they needed to go potty. Oh, that's the end of my sentence. What do I need? I need a period at the end of my sentence. And let's make sure the beginning is capitalized. Well, I just fixed the beginning of my sentence. And now that I have it capitalized, let's make sure we have a subject. Who's the sentence about? The dogs. And we have a verb, were. Normally after your subject, your verb is going to come right after it. So you have to make sure that your subject and verb make sense. Dogs were. That makes sense. Okay? Let's go to our next sentence. Starts with a capital letter. Perfect. Next, my dogs. Look at that G. What was I thinking? I need to mark that out and make sure that I only put capital letters at the beginning of my sentences, the word I, and names. But G is not a name, so it does not need to be capitalized. Next, my dogs wanted to. Wanted to. What's wrong with wanted to? Uh-oh. It doesn't look like I put finger spaces. So let me write it above it and let me make sure that I have finger spaces. Next, my dogs wanted to go in the backyard. Perfect. And end with a period. It starts with a capital letter. So I put my shoes on to let Millie and Rebel out. Let me lower you just a little bit. I put my shoes on to let Millie and Rebel out. So is beginning with a capital letter because it's the beginning of my sentence, which is good. So I put I is my subject, put is my verb, good. My shoes on to let Millie. Who is Millie and who is Rebel? Who's this story been about so far? It's been about my dogs. So Millie is the name of my dog. So Millie needs a capital letter since it's the name of my dog. Rebel is the name of my other dog. So Rebel also needs a capital letter because Rebel is the name of my dog. And let's look at the word out. We have a capital O and a capital T. Is out anybody's name? Nope. So I'm going to have to fix that and make sure all of the letters are lowercase because it's not my dog's name. It's just the word out. And then let's make sure I have my my punctuation at the end. I do. Right? So this was an example of how to edit your writing. In your writing, I want you checking for these things. Making sure that you have capital letters at the beginning, making sure you have a subject and a verb and they agree or they make sense together, making sure that you have punctuation at the end, making sure sight words are spelled correctly, and also making sure that the names of people, places, and things are capitalized. Make sure you let your teacher know if you need any help editing, and also make sure to write it with a colored writing utensil so we can see all of the mistakes you fixed, or we can see all of the things that you checked for. Right, boys and girls, let your teachers know if you need any help or have any questions, and do a great job editing so that way we can see all the mistakes you fixed, and that way your writing is perfect. All right, we'll see you next time.